let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan, Ian Carroll talking about the cartel versus the U.S. Army. I think they stand no chance, but I know my bias, so I'm going to show you some stuff that kind of goes against my bias. Someone in the military who knows better than me, who has a more well-balanced view. Then I'm going to show you someone who is in the military who has the same view that I do. And then I'm going to show you J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Tulsi Gabbard all at the southern border because of all of the developments that have happened between the cartels and the Border Patrol. And yeah, it's heating up. Something just might happen. But let's start with the Rogan stuff, and then I'll bring you through all the clips I got.
Stop.
Yeah.
We can show you in fucking 10 minutes that the Earth is round. Everything in the sky is round. The Earth is the only thing that's not round. You know, the weirdness of it is how much people want to believe that everything's bullshit.
Yeah.
And so you could trick a certain number of people.
I get why. Like, think about how much, like, right, so 10 years ago, Alex Jones was saying that the whole government's controlled by pedophiles, and he was a psychopath, or I guess more than 10 years ago now. And then Jeffrey Epstein got caught.
Dude, I talked to people about it back then.
Right.
And they thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah,
Because
and
Alex
you were
Jones
a nut.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a fucking island. They take them to an island. They get them fucked up
There's
on
more
drugs.
than one island,
They film
too.
it.
There's been a few islands.
Yeah, you think that's the only place they do
No.
that?
Yeah.
There's probably some super secret place in China that they all go to. Or
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all over
Siberia.
Mexico. They're all over, like,
Jesus.
yeah, imagine what is in Mexico. The government of Mexico has been partnered with the cartels for at least 2 administrations, is what it looks like.
Jesus.
And the cartels are just, like, running that whole game, that whole sort of northwestern, like, quarter of Mexico. I can only imagine what we'll find down there.
Really hilarious is the blue and on Twitter people,
Oh,
the
dude.
kooky ones who are like, yeah, you're going to go after the cartel. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. The greatest military force the world has ever known versus drug runners. Are
Which,
you
to
out of
be
your
fair,
fucking
the
mind?
cartels are highly militarized, and they're
Sure.
extremely advanced, but
Sure.
yeah, they're not going to compete with
They-
us. No.
I had my friend Evan Hafer on here from Black Rifle Coffee, and he
Yeah.
was talking about, like, do you understand the kind of, like, these are very capable people, no doubt. Do you understand the kind of ultra violence that they will experience if they let these, you know, fucking SEAL team guys go after the cartel people?
Because those
How
are proud
insane that would
Americans
be.
that have been itching to defend our nation. Like, they have been itching for the ability to actually do something meaningful.
And that's also the place where, look, Afghanistan doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Oh,
to
it was
send
an
military-
opium operation.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that too. We can get to that.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't make sense that we would send troops over there. It makes sense that we would send troops after the cartels. If you think about the
Absolutely.
amount of death that occurs in the United States because of fentanyl overdoses, where you have tainted drugs that are coming in across the border and killing people left at unprecedented
Children,
levels.
like taking kids
yeah.
from families. My whole
Oh, yeah.
generation was devastated by it. My whole generation.
Everyone today knows someone who died of an overdose.
Yep.
Everyone does. That was very uncommon when I was in high school.
And the problem is that it was not just illegal fentanyl and illegal heroin. The problem is that the Sackler family and the pharmaceutical industry was in on it, and so doctors were prescribing it to normal people. And it was just devastating our whole population all at once. It's so tragic.
that painkiller documentary on Netflix is fucking
dude.
or the docudrama series.
Yeah, and so the administration now in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, she is like the protege of AMLO, who was the leader of that same party from before, and I think he served 2 terms. It's like, so it's been something like the last 6 to 8 years or something. Their official cartel policy is hugs, not bullets. And what they basically describe is we're causing more death by going after the cartel, and we'll just agree to not touch them. We'll just agree to leave them alone. And I'm kind of exaggerating again, but like that, hugs, not bullets is their official slogan for their policy about the cartels. So it makes sense for us to fucking do something. It's like, we'll do the bullets. You can keep your hugs. Thank you very much. Right?
I wonder what's going to happen with that. Because they did declare them a terrorist organization.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried. I kind of came out a little hot, and I posted something on Twitter that was like, no fucking drone strikes inside of the U.S. No, sir. No, you're not. Because the way that the sort of announcement was worded of like, we're declaring cartel members terrorist organizations, and we will be and drone strikes are like totally A-okay on that, is what someone was saying about it. And I was like, where's the line on allowing the targeting of cartel? Because once you start targeting terrorists, that's why 9/11 was so subversive, is it turned everyone into a possible enemy of the state that can be shipped off to Guantanamo, because terrorism is just this elusive concept.
Right.
And anyone can just become a terrorist if we just call them a terrorist. Propaganda.
And there was
can be
people
bad.
shipped off to Guantanamo who were definitely innocent.
100%.
And
Now, with what he's talking about, that person who said that, I guess he didn't want to step on any toes, but it was Elon Musk who actually reposted the announcement. And Elon Musk said they should be open to drone strikes then. And that's when Ian actually chimed in about how, no, you're not going to do that, and this is going to be innocent people and blah, blah, blah. The problem is that he's just going with the term terrorist, and he's not realizing that it's still a cartel member. So they wouldn't just be able to say you're terrorists and that's it. They would still be focusing on you being a cartel member. And they're obviously not talking about drone strikes in America. They're talking about them on the southern border in Mexico, obviously. He was very wrong on that take. He got torn apart, which rarely happens with him on Twitter, quite honestly. But yeah, he did get torn apart on that one. So he was just wrong. It didn't make any sense. He's jumping to conclusions, but clarifying why he thought about that makes sense, but also didn't make sense. Now, Joe Rogan said the most incredible force in the world, but there have been some developments with that incredible force versus the cartel members. Now, listen to this.
American border agents are on high alert after a warning of possible.
Of course it's that fast. Of course it is. This video is by someone named Cash Jordan, by the way. Absolutely incredible work this guy does. Absolutely inspiring.
Attacks from the other side of the border.
Agents have been warned to stay alert, wear ballistic armor, carry long guns, and work in teams.
So U.S. Marines are now at the southern border, locking it down completely so that nothing gets through. However, doing this has only angered Mexico's cartels, who were making billions off America's wide open front door, which is why they're now making plans to engage in combat with our troops and law enforcement officers. But that might be a bad idea, because the border is about to experience a U.S. military response unlike anything we've ever seen.
Now to a violent new threat at our southern border. Cartels employing new tech to target their rivals as well as border agents. They're using weaponized explosive drones as bombs.
Migrant after migrant, all trying to evade Border Patrol agents.
The two migrant groups just made a hole in the border wall. It's dark out, so what they don't realize is we're 5 miles away and can still watch it. They're every move.
New York Post reports that illegal border crossings have fallen to near record lows. Trump administration on pace to see the fewest crossings in 60 years.
I've been down here for nearly 4 years, and not once was I really concerned for my safety, but I actually just got protective gear from our network because things are getting a little unprecedented down here. The cartel is operating in ways that we have not seen before. They're desperate. They're a $13 billion a year industry moving people in the country.
We are witnessing in real time how cartels and transnational gangs on the southern border aren't just trafficking humans anymore. They are actively trying to target U.S. law enforcement. And that memo suggesting that they may be trying to create bigger chaos.
So that's just the first part of it. Just a little intro. They have been given protective gear if you are press. It's gotten to the point, like I said, that JD Vance and Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, they're all there right now. They're sorting out the situation. It's starting to ramp up, and it's getting to the point where Joe was talking about it's Delta Force. It's tier 1 guys who could very possibly be assembled to go and handle things. Now, he was talking about these Blue Anon people. I'll try and find a clip or two of those people because those funny videos are very funny. Always funny when the left spouts their theories, because they're rookie in this whole tinfoil Speedo thing, They don't have tinfoil Speedos. They still have tinfoil hats, and they're still the ones that are shaped like that, and they just don't have it all together yet, We've come a long way in tinfoil technology. They're just not there yet. Let's listen to this.
Everything into our country. And now these violent gangsters who've made bank fueling not just America's asylum crisis, but also America's chemical abuse crisis, wreaking havoc in major cities, will have a lot less to keep them busy, which experts say leaves them no option but to fight back. Something that's already happening on a smaller scale, with Border Patrol agents being targeted by these cartels in several incidents over the last year. But now, this entire situation is about to change for the worse, because if you take billions in dollars away from gang members sporting military-grade equipment who've taken over entire swaths of Mexico, they're probably not gonna just surrender and go get real jobs.
Now, that's true. Now, he just kind of skimmed over that whole what happened to a Border Patrol agent. Now, I just wanted to give you a little more focused story on that, just really quick, and then we'll jump back over to that video.
Here live now from Fox, we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you from Fox News' Bill Mallusion reporting of a situation happening at the border right now. He is reporting per multiple law enforcement sources within the last hour, Border Patrol agents near Fronton, Texas, were fired upon from Mexico by suspected cartel gunmen as a group of illegal aliens were being brought across the river. I'm told that Border Patrol returned fire. Nobody hit on either side right there. And we are going to continue on with this as Texas DPS tells Bill Malusian that they are now patrolling the area and has a drone in the air and can see Mexican military assets now staging on the other side of the river there. So again, we are going to be following this story here for you on Live Now from Fox. It is very fluid at this moment, but this comes at a time when big changes are happening at the White House when it comes to border security, and a lot of these measures are taking place pretty much on a daily basis. We're also seeing mass deportations happening really.
Yeah, that's the situation there. So somebody was fired upon. I don't know if that gentleman who fired the shot at an American knew how close he was to starting an all-out war, because that's all that would have been, especially if that border agent passed away. It would have been absolute mayhem for those people. And you know what? Just speaking to Ian Carroll and what he was saying about this whole thing, about how he was saying, he was speculating, and, when it comes to Ian, he does a lot of hardcore research, so he's saying it for a reason, but it does, their lack of responsibility in this whole thing kind of does show that maybe they are co-opted. I mean, in America, we know that politicians, they're not always on the up and up. And that goes for everybody. Everybody has a price kind of thing. And it seems like that's what's happening over there, because they seem to be taking just no responsibility for this whole thing. You think that they would speak up and be like, this is an outrage. You never hear any announcements like that, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Which brings us to the real reason why the U.S. military is being sent to the southern border, with special forces being deployed into Mexico. Everybody expects the cartels to fight back against this. But the Marines are getting ready for what comes next, which could be assaults on the border by armed cartel members, or targeted attacks against Border Patrol agents by snipers, who we're now learning are more heavily armed than most people even realize.
They're actually using drones to drop explosives on rival cartel members, or even the military, even explosives that are laid on the ground as far as IEDs.
So those troops, those were not the Mexican military. Those are the cartels. They're essentially a rogue army deployed to the Mexican side of the border. And experts say there's a good chance this army is ready for war. In fact, they're already at war with themselves and with the Mexican government, and it's feared they soon may be at war with U.S. law enforcement, creating a situation so unpredictably dangerous that reporters are now being issued body armor. And as you're about to see, our troops may now face battlefield threats they've never seen before.
So they're getting desperate. So we got our hands on some video, that video showing the cartel quite literally dropping a bomb.
Crazy. So these cartels, they have been making massive amounts of money off the opportunity at America's border, which was previously wide open, but now that's over. And their business is now toast, but they're not going to accept that. The New York Post is calling them kamikaze drones. Here's a photo of a drone like this being used in Ukraine right now. Look at that thing. The bomb is bigger than the drone.
Now with these drones that have the capabilities of actually dropping explosives, it really shows how much more these cartels have evolved, and the threat level has increased even more so now.
It's crazy. So before we get into how President Trump and our military are going to stand up against this threat and defeat it, it's important to understand that these drones and this technology, this is a new thing in modern warfare, and it's changing the face of battlefields all over the place. First of all, these things are incredibly inexpensive. They make it very unsafe to be on a battlefield. You can't hide in a trench because these things drop items on top of you. On top of that, tanks, armored vehicles, most of these have weaker armor in areas that traditional weapons that would hit them in the front might not be able to reach, like the roof or the back. And unless
It sounds to me like they're making it so jets have to come in, Black Hawk helicopters have to come in. They just have to start dropping things on them. It sounds like they might be backing the US into a place where they're like, oh, well, we wanted to put boots on the ground over there. Yeah, we did. We really did. Yeah, UN that we're not a part of anymore. We really did. Shh. Yes, NATO. We really, really did. Shh. Shh. But there's no chance we can do that. So I don't know. We got to use these carpet bombs. I didn't want to. Oh, I didn't want to. Yeah, I don't know. Just the whole southern border. Pretty much just all Mexican people. Please just evacuate your border. All the immediate places in your southern border or your northern border. Please evacuate about 5 miles away. We're going to light it up. It's pretty much going to be something like that. That's what it sounds. They're backing them into a corner where they have to do that. That's the last thing you want to do with the United States of America. It's going to be an issue, and they are high tech. They have a great force, the cartels, but it's not going to compare to what the U.S. government can do. The U.S. could go to war with Russia, China, throw in whatever country you want. Hey, throw in 5 countries. Go ahead and say them out loud. Those ones too, all at once, if it so chose. It's just crazy. You have no idea. You have no idea the force.
Unless you're going to fight fire with fire, there's really no way law enforcement's going to be able to stand up against this. Apparently, they've got spy planes that are now flying over the border, keeping an eye on things in a way that's never been done before. And using high-tech surveillance equipment like this is going to help the U.S. military find these drone operators, find these cartel members, catch them as they're sneaking around, plotting to ambush our troops and our law enforcement officers as they keep America safe.
Along the southern
You know, I really never liked that John Bolton guy. I mean, he was like a maniac when it came to war. But what I'll do is, I'll just do exactly what John Bolton... Lindsay, what do you want to do, Lindsay? Oh, man, I mean, they make a whole ton of money, you understand? Okay, so let's not blow up the money, but everything else, the tacos, the enchiladas, all of that, we blow all that up. And then President Trump, can I have some of the money? I mean, they make $13 billion a year. If I could just have a little bit of that money. Lindsay seems like he's on board. JD will do whatever I tell him to do. Pete, start carpet bombing, Pete. Peacefully and patriotically blow the whole place up. Especially if it gets to the point where Trump's involved, it's going to be an issue. Delta Force, Green Berets, all that. But if it gets to the point where Trump says, go, everyone go. I wanted peace. I wanted a legacy of peace, but I guess not. The last thing the world wants is Trump being like, well, I guess it's just war. Let's just do that then. That's the last thing the whole world wants. He's already so brash and aggressive wielding peace. Imagine how he'll be wielding war to Mexico. What? You're done. Are you kidding me? Here's Evan talking about it, Evan Hafer. So this is the perspective that goes along with mine. Then I'll show you something that's kind of against my perspective.
That is a real thing.
Who proposed that?
I'm almost positive either JD or Trump had said something with the new guy from ICE, like we're going to mobilize tier 1 units against the cartel. I know these units. I'm intimately familiar with them.
Uh-huh.
Bro, if we declare war on the cartel, like these dudes are not going to understand what the fuck is going on. They are in for a world of like ultra violence they've never actually felt before. They have fucking no clue. If we organize these tier 1 units against them, this is going to be what I would be doing if I was down there. I'd be getting ready to retire right now. That's what I would be doing, because if Delta Force was hunting me, bro, I would be so terrified.
Bro, it is going to get wild. It's come January 20th.
Yep, he said this months ago, and it turns out he was right. I'm telling you, man, Delta Force is no joke. You can talk. I have a friend, we have arguments about it all the time. He's like, oh, the cartels. I'm like, bro, you got to understand, it's the U.S., man. They're basically Gaza. When it comes to the force that the U.S. has, they're basically just Gaza, and these dudes are Hamas. That's all it is. You know? I mean, I'm just saying. Here's another gentleman. He has a more balanced view about this whole thing. And you know what? It's very sensible, and it makes a lot of sense, actually. Listen to this. Wait, do I have it on double speed? I don't. Wow.
You know, to me, again, it's like the Sun Tzu art of war is that, you know, like, you got to know your fucking enemy, know what they're capable of. And so to me, like, doing that as a step one, I think is akin to, you know, trying to mop up the floor of a bathroom where the toilet's overflowing while the toilet is still overflowing. You know, it's the same analogy I would use with trying to debate, you know, immigration policy when the border is wide open. I think step one is you got to close the fucking border. I think before we really attack making, you know, as impenetrable of a border as we can possibly make, even having that discussion is a waste of fucking time, because while that's open, if you attack them, right, it's like fucking cockroaches. You look at Afghanistan-Pakistan border as a classic example. What happened? Well, they went to Pakistan. What's going to happen? You start attacking them there. Where do you think they're going to go?
They just keep, they're
going to fucking come here.
Right.
And they're going to come here and they're going to bring the fight. You know, you're going to see fucking congressmen getting assassinated. You're going to see their kids getting fucking kidnapped. You're going to see all kinds of gnarly shit
don't play by the rules.
Yeah, that I'm not sure that this country's ready for.
And, I certainly think not.
You know, and to think that we have the ability to just go there and completely mop the floor with everybody, I think is an arrogant and dangerous perspective. Again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep that option on the table, but I think until we put enough resources on the border to say we legitimately have a handle on this and can keep, you know, people from coming across at will, it's a waste of an argument, and it would be a waste of I would rather see U.S. military resources be put on the border, frankly, and close it and absolutely and actually shut it down before you even have that conversation. At that same time, I would put a similar amount of resources into finding the bad actors that are currently in this country and getting rid of them. I don't think it makes sense to try to round up everybody who's here illegally, because there's tens of millions of people that fall into that category. And I think you got to prioritize in the same way an ER doctor would triage a bus crash. Is that you got to say who are the people we're most worried about. Unfortunately, we don't even know who the fuck those people are.
That's the problem. Trying to how are you going to confiscate all the guns?
Trying to sift through. There are people that we do know are here, who are here illegally, who are convicted fucking horrible criminals. I think you go after them first. That's the logical step. And so, you know, to me, it's like, let's focus on those two things first. And I would also use negotiation as a power tool also. And that I would, like, if I was Trump, I would contact not just the Mexican president. I mean, I would find a way to reach out to cartel leadership and say, look, you know, we can fucking go this route if you guys want. It's going to be bad for both of us. Or you guys can fucking police your own and stop bringing shit across, but it's not going to fucking pan out, and try to figure out a way to at least, you know, communicate, you know, some sort of warning that way of saying, like, look, we don't want to go this fucking route, but you have to realize, like, you know, the actions that your organizations are doing are killing more of our citizens than wars, than terrorism, than fucking, you know, a lot of other things that people tend to focus on more than drug streaming across the board. I mean, when there's six figures, you know, 100,000 people overdosing annually on fucking drugs, like, I mean, that is a natural catastrophe, you
know. So, well-balanced. That is a well-balanced view. This is actually from the Mike Ritlin channel. Let me subscribe to this, because I've actually never seen this channel before. Mike Ritlin, Cartels versus Special Ops on the Border. Solid guy. Seems like a solid podcast, actually. Doesn't say who he's sitting down with here in the description. Former Navy SEAL. Oh, this is his channel? Hold on. Let me click through here. I want to see this. Okay, so who's he talking? Tyler Gray. So that gentleman you just saw speaking was Tyler Gray. Solid. I'm going to check this out. I love listening to podcasts like that. A lot of men willing to do things that I am not man enough to do, quite honestly. Now we got Tulsi Gabbard, JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, all talking about the situation because it's developing. This is not theoretical anymore. Seems to be actually happening. So I think they're trying to take all those avenues that gentleman Tyler was just talking about. But yeah, it's getting tense over there to the point where the press is being urged to not go. That's the point it's getting to. Some get bulletproof vests and whatnot, but a lot are being urged not to even approach it anymore. So let's hear Tulsi talk about this whole thing. And of course, it's on double speed. Let's get to it.
Which is to ensure a safe, free, and prosperous society for Americans. As Director of National Intelligence, there are a number of areas where we are focused. The president talked about in his speech, over 21 million people have come across our borders illegally under Joe Biden's administration. There are many of them that we don't know who they are. They have not been vetted. We don't know where they are. I'll give you one quick example of one of the problems that we are getting after. From Central Asia, there were over 4,000 people who came across our borders using an ISIS-affiliated network. Our National Counterterrorism Center went through and identified those individuals. There were hundreds of them who were either known terrorists or associated with known terrorists. That information was provided to the Biden administration. You may remember in some of the news, a little over 100 of those people were arrested in 2024. Of those who were arrested, only 8 were either deported or remained in custody. Only 8. The rest of them were released back into our country. Where are they? What are they doing? What may they be plotting? This is just the beginning. There are many, many areas that we need to stay very focused on, working with Department of Homeland Security, working with the FBI to ensure that we're keeping the American people safe. Our Counterterrorism Center is working on making sure that we have that single source for vetting so that we can figure out who is actually in our country and identify those who pose a threat and get them removed. The president's designation of the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations falls directly into this, especially as we're seeing some of the tactics that these cartels are using reflect some of the tactics that we've seen used by Islamist terrorists in countries that many of us have served in overseas. Our mission is very clear. Our objective is to keep the American people safe. I'm grateful to be a part of this team that President Trump has assembled to accomplish that mission. Thank you.
Great. So we're just going to jump over to J.D. Vance real quick. I just want to take the part that is pertaining to the cartels here. So you're going to hear a little bit about him talking, and then you are going to hear him discuss or take questions, I should say. Here you go.
They're back. We're using artificial intelligence to make us better at the job of border enforcement, but we've got to make sure that technology is deployed across the entire American southern border. We're going to do it as much as we can, as broadly as we can, because that's how we're going to protect the American people's security. Yeah, go ahead.
Last time they were paused because they deployed 10,000 troops to the border. What can they do this time to make the tariffs go away?
Well, what the president has said is we need a sustained commitment from the government of Mexico to take the job of border security seriously. Fentanyl is the single largest cause of death among young Americans, and we know that a substantial portion of it is, the precursors are made in China. They come to Mexico, they're manufactured in Mexico and brought across the border by the Mexican drug cartels. We want to see fewer Americans dying of these terrible fentanyl overdoses when we're going to apply as much leverage as possible to the Mexican government as possible. In some ways, look, the president obviously cares deeply about the American people. He serves the American people first. I actually think he's doing a huge favor to the people of Mexico, because if they don't get control of these cartels, the people of Mexico are going to wake up in a narco state where the cartels have more power than their own government. President Trump is trying to help. The Mexican government needs to take this issue of immigration enforcement seriously. In the back, yeah.
Mr. Vice President, Ali Bradley, News Nation. So since the designation of the cartels as terrorists, does that give the United States the green light to go into Mexico and to strike them there? I mean, right now, obviously, they've struck in the Houthis in Yemen. So why not, when we've seen cross-border violence, go after them in Mexico? And then my second question is about a designation I'll follow up on, please.
Go ahead and ask the second question.
Why isn't the Juarez/La Línea cartel designated when it's in one of the most deadliest places on the planet? Juarez has been designated as one of the deadliest cities. It's right across from El Paso. We've talked to community leaders. They say we know Juarez cartels operating in the U.S. and so are their affiliates. We don't even want to talk about it out loud, though, because then we'll put a target on our back. They're scared. Border Patrol even thought they were designated, but they're not. The State Department didn't tell me why.
So on that, we're looking at additional organizations. Obviously, this is the determination of whether to determine a particular organization, a terrorist organization, is something that we consult with our leaders of the Department of Defense. We also consult with our friends in other governments. We maintain the optionality to designate further organizations, terrorist organizations, if we feel that we need to in order to protect the American people. And I think President Trump has made it very clear he's not going to be shy about designating some of these cartel organizations as terrorists if he thinks he has to protect the American people. Your first question was about
American forces to strike.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, look, I'm not going to make any announcements about any invasions of Mexico here today. The president has a megaphone, and of course, he'll speak to these issues as he feels necessary. But what designating cartel organizations allows us to do is deploy the full resources of the United States military to engage in serious border enforcement. Of course, the president is going to make the determination about how we deploy those forces. But our hope is that Mexico takes this job seriously. We don't want to have negative relationships with the Mexican government. We want the Mexican government to help itself, but also in the process to help the American people by taking these organizations seriously. It's going to destabilize the entire country of Mexico, the entire government, if they don't take it more seriously. We're hopeful that they will. And if they don't, then of course, we'll figure out what to do from there.
Univision. So, you just mentioned something about invasion of Mexico. Is there any talk or any thoughts about actually U.S. military forces going into Mexico?
No. Next question.
No. Next question. Literally a cartel member asking the question. Hola. Just has a rifle. Hola. I just want to ask the question. I have a pregunta. Una pregunta, señor. Vance. Yes, please. Yeah. But yeah, it's all developing. It's all developing right now. And we'll see what ends up happening. Trump has made it very clear what he wants. Apparently, from what I saw, the Mexican president, Claudia, she's trying to change the Constitution or alter some kind of law. And it's in the name of protecting Mexican sovereignty, because the next step, if things were to escalate, would be U.S. forces in Mexico. Mexico is a sovereign nation. They want to protect that, of course. They don't want to just, get taken over. They don't want an Afghanistan situation. I mean, let's be honest. They don't want that to happen. So she's trying to protect sovereignty, but it seems like it's a double-edged sword, because as she protects sovereignty, she also protects the cartels as long as they stay in Mexico. And yeah, it's a very messy situation. And then you get to the point of how much control do they have of that government, and it gets very, very messy. I have no idea how this is going to pan out, but I know one thing. And again, I said it before, little bias here. Team America. If it goes to a war, an all-out war, they're done. And it won't be within days, maybe not even a week, maybe not even 2 weeks. But if they just go, all right, let's just go. And they're just like, boys, pull back. Everybody move. Target engaged. And they just start dropping things. It's going to be the worst thing ever for that country. And let's be honest. Come on. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, my buddy, I'll never forget. We're having an argument. He's like, the cartel has technology that the U.S. government doesn't have. Hey, U.S. government has spaceships. What are you talking about? U.S. government has clones, bro. No, I mean, yeah, you never know. Let's see if I can find one of these unhinged videos just right off the top. Yeah, I'm so tired of looking up woke videos. Cartel versus U.S. military. Yeah, let's just see if that pops up on X. Let's see what people are saying here. This is a little highlight of them. That was briefly in that video by Cash Jordan. This is what they got. What kind of truck is that, huh? I bet I could tell you what kind of truck that is. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You leave weapons behind in places. That's the type of stuff that happens. All of a sudden, all sorts of people pop up with it. You think Afghanistan just kept that $80 billion worth of stuff? Or do you think they said, let's make some of this liquid? Not saying it happened, but it would be smart, right? That would be the smart thing to do. Oh, here's one.
A group of people. Do you know, we might be saved by like the most unexpected group of people. Do you know who Trump's trying to declare war on? The cartel. Oh, please do. Please do. Fuck around and find out, Trump. Oh, we might be.
What? I don't know. You can't, I guess people just let their hatred of Trump just blind them, but you can't all of a sudden be like, the U.S. military's no comparison. Are you? Oh my God. I can't even get into it. They have 58 planes, these aircraft. They're huge. They're big enough to hold nukes. There's 58 of them. Okay. These things can hold various ammunitions, things from nukes to white phosphorus. There's 58 of them. They're huge. They're bigger than whatever you're thinking. Picture a plane, bigger than that. There's 58 of them, and they're designed to just hold wild amounts of ammunition, okay? They can take a trip. First of all, it's just to Mexico. They could go to the ocean. They could go across the ocean, do what they need to do, come on back, not even be done like a half tank. I mean, these things are gigantic, and they can, again, they hold nukes. How many times I got to say it? Obviously, that's not going to happen. You don't want that to happen to Mexico, but I mean, just the things that the U.S. military has. I mean, people are like, waste, fraud, and abuse. What's happening with all the money? You want to see where a lot of that money's going? Do you really want to see where a lot of that money's going? You just wait. You just wait. If Trump was like, I want you to deploy everything you got, okay? I'm just, right now, no consequences. Everything you've been hiding from me, everything you've got. They'd be like, okay. Should I bring out the werewolf men? What? What'd you say? We got these werewolf men, okay? Okay, how many you got? There's 50,000 of them. We keep them underground, okay? They're 7 feet tall, okay? I'm so glad you want this to happen. Okay, they're 7 feet tall, okay? They eat flesh, so we all have to get very far away when we let them go. But don't worry, they'll go the way we need them to go, okay? Should I bring out the gun nukes? The gun nukes? They're bullets. They're bullets. And we figured out this technology. They're like half a nuke, but they're bullets. And, you know, we have these firearms that have them. How many bullets? We have 58 billion bullets with these nukes inside of them. But they're small nukes. Trust me, it'll be fine. What? You want a poison knife? I got a poison knife. It's metal that we made, and the metal's just poisonous. I don't really know how it works, and you don't want to touch it with your bare hands. But we have 40 million of those. Why? You only have 40 million soldiers. I know. That's the thing. We actually do have 40 million soldiers. They're human hybrids. Okay. We got a lot of human hybrids. I took the best soldiers we had, and I spliced them all together. I have 40 million of them underground again. They're near the wolf people. Do you want me to release them? Have lizard people too. You heard about lizard people? They're actually real. Okay. It was actually us. We messed up. We have a lot of lizard people. We have like 10 million of those. So I can release those too. Trump's like, this is all very concerning, okay? This is crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. Just release it all, and we're going to talk about this after. This is crazy. How much did this all cost, by the way? Oh, trillions. Trillions of dollars. Just unknown trillions. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. You want night vision? We have an injection that causes night vision. We've been taking that for a while. You want that? I think I will take night vision, actually. I'll take some of that. Sure. Here? Okay, go ahead. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notification.